All right, we're taking a look at Darwin's exit ticket in this video. So all of your answers should be different, but Darwin's is a good example of what one correct way to do this exit ticket was. So the first question says, in the experiment, which number did you roll the most? How many times did you roll it? So Darwin rolled the sum of 8 the most, and he got that 10 times. The second one says, what is the experimental probability of rolling that number, and how did you find it? So remember, for experimental probability, it's going to be a fraction. And the numerator of the fraction is the number of times the thing that you're talking about happened. So in this case, the experimental probability of rolling an 8, Darwin rolled an 8 10 times. So the top of his fraction, the numerator, is a 10 because he rolled 8 10 times. The denominator is the total number of times. He rolled his dice 63 times in total. So this is saying that 10 out of the 63 times, he rolled an 8. So the experimental probability of rolling an 8 is 10 out of 63. In the next one, we talk about what does that experimental probability mean? Use one of these words in your explanation: impossible, unlikely, equally likely is not, likely, or certain. Darwin said it was unlikely. That's actually weird, right? Because he rolled an 8 the most, but he still said it was unlikely. And that's actually exactly right. Because remember, something is unlikely if it's likely to happen less than half the time. So in our number line, 0 means it's impossible to happen. A half means it's equally likely to happen as not. And 1 means it's certain. So Darwin rolled an 8 10 out of 63 times, which lives somewhere in between 0 and a half. It's less than a half and more than 0. So it's unlikely to happen. That's exactly right. The last question says, do you think that your classmates had the same experimental probability for that number? Explain your reasoning. Darwin said, no, that would be impossible, but we might have similar ones. And that's a really good answer. So it's likely that someone had got a similar number for 8, but unlikely that they got the exact same thing. It's not totally impossible. They could have rolled their dice 63 times and rolled an 8 10 times, but that's very unlikely. Okay, so that's Darwin's exit ticket. If you are still a little confused about experimental probability, come to office hours, please talk to me about it, or head back to this lesson and try to relearn some of this stuff. You've got it.